So today we're going to introduce you briefly to our TAB partners here at Mid-Atlantic TAB. My computer to advance. Okay, so on the agenda today, first up is to learn a little bit about TAB and who we are and to meet our partners. So we are Mid-Atlantic TAB, and that's because we are the TAB provider, Technical Assistance to Brownfields provider for EPA Region 3. And so in order to help make sure we do a good job providing that service, we have additional partners at other universities throughout the region to help us make sure we have enough capacity and knowledge to be able to provide you with the best service we can to help you navigate the brownfield redevelopment process. So we work with the EPA because that's how the TAB program is funded. To be able to, again, assist communities, and all the assistance we provide is free. And it's, again, to help you identify brownfields and then start to go through the process to redevelop them and hopefully make them active sites within your community. So some of the ways that we can help you at TAB is to help you go through the process of assessing and cleaning up brownfield properties, also helping you navigate what you need to do before you acquire a property, helping you understand the health impacts of brownfield sites. Why are they such a challenge? Why does it matter that you should get them cleaned up? We can also help you understand how science and technology are used to go through the site assessment process, to know all the great ways that are available to help remediate those sites, and then actually, again, bring them back to an active contributing part of the community. And also, and these are just some of the examples of how we can help. It's also to help you comply with your voluntary cleanup requirements for your respective state environmental agency. So some of the ways we can help educate communities about all of this is through education and outreach, and that includes webinars like today. So we're always trying to think of topics or just make sure we're revisiting the same topics each year and just staying on top of the latest information. And that can include webinars virtually like this, and it can include in-person workshops. So, we're always happy to help travel to communities to give a brownfield basic overview and start to go through the brownfield inventory process. We can help communities understand how they can better conduct the outreach process in their communities to engage the members so that they can contribute to what they would like to see in a site that is currently facing the degradation of brownfield properties. EPA grantee support. So for those who have actually received a grant from the EPA, we're here to help go through the process with you. We can help you from the time you found out you received a grant to going through that process to setting it up, and actual administration of the grant. We can help with that. And if you're actually looking to apply for a grant, we can help you with that too. So, if it's your first time applying for an EPA Brownfield grant, or maybe, it's going to be your second time, or maybe it's just been a while, we can help you, support you through that. We can provide assistance when it comes to reviewing a draft application. Those are some of the ways that we can help. And technical assistance, when it actually comes to a specific brownfield site, we can help you with that. So if you have one site or two sites that you already know you want to take on, but maybe you don't know where to start, we can help with that. And we can also help from an area-wide point of view. So maybe if you're starting to get into the brownfield process, you know a little bit about it, and you just want to have a better understanding of what could be done throughout your community, we can help in that way. And again, these are just some examples of how we can help. We always say that we respond to the needs of the community and the people we are here to assist. So, we actually do get brand new questions all the time. And if it's a question we haven't heard before, not quite sure of the answer, we have so many resources and people on our team and at our disposal that we can connect you to help you better understand the process. And that includes some of the partners on our actual TAB team. So together, you can see that Mid-Atlantic Tab consists of West Virginia University, the University of Delaware Biden School of Public Policy and Administration, Marshall University, and then also the Virginia Tech Community Design and Assistance Center. So you can see a snapshot. We're a friendly bunch. We meet monthly to check in with one another to see what's going on, see what calls maybe are coming their way, and kind of what are the needs that they are finding. So we're, again, always trying to find how we can better meet the needs that communities have. And, I think that's one of my favorite parts actually of the assistance that we provide, is that our team is never satisfied with, just doing it the way that we always have. We always want to make sure that, again, if there are questions that seem to be recurring, we think, well, hey, maybe we should be doing a webinar or letting folks know we can go to the community to provide information, because chances are multiple people have that same question. So first, you've learned a little bit about us. You've probably seen us a lot. This is just a snapshot of most of the people on our team. You see our director, Carrie, there. She's actually in Portland right now for a conference. And I'm Katie. Becca introduced you and kicked off the webinar. You're going to hear more from Seth later today. Peter is going to be speaking from his team here within West Virginia University. And then we also have Christian. He works with public health. And then Jared is brand new to our team. So you'll start to hear more from him as we slowly acclimate him, and then we'll throw him in and we'll say, here, Jared, take it away. But I digress. So again, we are here at West Virginia University. We're based in Morgantown, West Virginia. And so our home base actually is at the Brownfields Assistance Center. And there are 2 centers within the state of West Virginia. George, you're going to hear more from him later, is at Marshall. So he's at Marshall University, also in West Virginia. And together, we have been doing this, helping the communities throughout the state of West Virginia since 2006. I think George has been called, is it George or Joe's been called the Yoda of Brownfield knowledge. But he's George, can tell you a lot about the history of our centers. But all those resources and the wealth of information that the Brownfield centers have been providing since that time has we believe is what has made it so makes so much sense for us to then also be the tab provider for Region 3, because we love what we do. We love helping communities, and we love, again, just trying to connect them to resources and people. So without further ado, I'm going to kick this over to Jen at the University of Delaware, and she's going to tell you a little bit about her team. All right,
Great.
Jen, are you ready?
I am. Well, thank you, Katie, and welcome everyone. It's good to see so many people joining us on a lovely August day. My name is Jen Wrights, and I am a principal planner with the Institute for Public Administration. And this is just a couple of the people on our small but mighty team at University of Delaware. Lori Spagnolo, I don't know if she was able to join us yet or not. She was on another meeting, but
I'm here. Hi.
Hi, Lori, go ahead. You want to? Lori was the previous Brownfields coordinator for our state program, and then joined UD a couple of years ago. And so we're really pleased to have her as part of our team. Also, we have Matt Harris, who wasn't able to join us today. And he's, like myself, is a certified planner, having worked with communities in Delaware for a couple of decades. And so the last person on our team is Zach Hamacher, and he is actually not in the Institute for Public Administration. He joins us from the Coastal Resilience Design Studio, and that collaboration enables us to both provide that hands-on planning outreach and assistance to the communities, but also the design studio is a really unique. They're in the landscape architecture program, and they are able to work with our communities on that site-specific assistance that Katie mentioned. And so they'll work with a community over a period of time to really develop those concept plans, get the community input, and be able to kind of take that vision to the next level as Matt, Lori, and I are able to help them envision where they want to go and do that kind of general outreach education, and then assist with some of the getting them through the application process and into the next level. So we're really excited to be here. We're kind of the new kids on the block, but definitely putting in the work and reaching out to our communities.
Thank you so much, Jen. I got ahead of myself and completely skipped the other members on our team that I highlighted. So I want to circle back to West Virginia University so that Peter Butler and Christian Abildzo can introduce themselves and also what they do for the team. Jen, thank you so much. Oh, my computer is getting very antsy. All right, Peter, are you ready to go?
Yeah, hi, everybody. Hope everyone's
Excellent.
doing well. Hi. Yeah, so I'm Peter Butler. I'm Extension Specialist in Landscape Architecture, and we're part of the team that provides design and planning assistance. And so what we try to do at the Landscape Architecture program is integrate projects into our design studios, similar to the way that they're working at Delaware as well. And so example projects would be looking at geographic information systems, asset mapping, inventory and analysis of brownfield sites, and then zooming in and creating specific designs for community members. All of our work is participatory, so we often depend on the local contact to develop groups of stakeholders to engage in the process. And we've been pretty successful over the last couple of years where the designs have moved forward towards further funding and implementation. So we work as a team. Lisa Orr, who's a professor in landscape architecture, she integrates projects into the senior capstone studio. Stefania Sinisia integrates projects into her senior studio in the fall. I integrate coursework or projects into the coursework in my junior year, both fall and spring. And then Nicole Kreidler, she integrates projects in interior architecture. And so she was working with interns this summer, for example, on the redevelopment of a armory building in Ronceverte, West Virginia, that had some issues related to mold, et cetera, with George's team as well at Marshall. And so we try to integrate our projects into our classrooms. That's interior architecture and landscape architecture primarily. Thanks for the opportunity. Go team.
Thanks, Peter. All right, Christian, that puts you up next.
All right. Yeah, thanks so much. My name is Christian Abildzo, and of course I had to pick the biking picture to try to make myself look cool, but need a lot of help on that front. So I'm trained in physical activity and public health. And there are a few aspects of our work that'll be will lend to the effort here. One is ripple effect mapping. I'll ask Sam Moyers-Kinsella, do you want to jump off of mute and talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah. So we've been engaging in community workshops with communities that have completed brownfield redevelopment projects, specifically those that have resulted in a health promoting use, like a park, for instance. So meeting with those communities and through a facilitation, helping to pull out the various impacts and connections that have come out of the redevelopment process and the new use.
Yeah, that's thanks, Sam. We are scheduled to do a bunch of those. I think it's 18 of them in this round of funding. So excited about that. So you'll hear from Sam in the future. A couple other things that we bring to the activities here are, helping engage in brownfield walkabouts and understanding how the built environment impacts physical activity or access to healthy foods. Things we've done in the past as far as technical assistance. We've done a couple of webinars on how to help folks understand what the public health and local hospitals health needs assessment and improvement plan process looks like, how to access health data, and infiltrate and collaborate on those processes. The other aspect we bring to it is kind of evaluating the activities and processes that the TAB team is working on. So a little quick shout out to Prince George's County, where I grew up. I see someone from PG County here. I grew up on the rough streets of Bowie, Maryland, and also spent some time. My dad grew up in Delaware and spent some time at the University of Delaware. So happy to be here. Happy to see a lot of these projects come to fruition throughout the region. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, my fellow WVU colleagues. And again, I apologize for getting ahead of myself. All right, and thanks again to Delaware. Now we're going to move on to Marshall, where George is going to introduce his team at Marshall and the services they can provide.
So I see we made this list for photos, but we didn't make the front page. I guess we must be a tier 2 bunch, I guess.
I don't know why you were hiding in the group
Good.
photo.
Good afternoon, folks. I'm George Carrico. I'm an environmental manager here at Marshall University in the Center for Environmental, Geotechnical, and Applied Sciences. And in my spare time, I'm director of our West Virginia Brownfields Assistance Center here at Marshall. And just a short summary of that, back in 2005, our West Virginia legislature created the West Virginia Brownfield Assistance Centers, one at WVU and one at Marshall. And we were given marching orders basically to go across state, helping communities and entities to go after brownfield funds. And that has grown from its very early days to what we're doing now. So I actually was involved right from the start with this whole program. So yes, that does make me a little older than the rest of you. But my background is actually in environmental geology. I came from the private sector. So I've done the site assessments and the remediation contract work and those types of things in past years. So that's kind of the part of what I bring to the table with some of the work that we do. And in addition to other support staff, we've got Mark Buchanan. He's a project manager here at a Brownfields project manager here at Marshall, and also Catherine Gooding. She's our economic development specialist. And we are excited to be a part of this whole Mid-Atlantic TAB program. There's lots of good activities in the Brownfields arena all across our region. Happy to play a role in all of that. So Katie, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, George. Appreciate that. All right. Next up is Elizabeth to tell us more about Virginia Tech, my alma mater.
Hi, everybody. My name is Elizabeth Gilboy, and I'm director of the Community Design Assistance Center at Virginia Tech. And also with me today is Harry Gleason, who is CDAC's new project manager. Just started about 3 weeks ago. Where did you find the picture? So
We have
the
some
design,
super sleuths.
the Design Center, or sometimes referred to as CDAC, we provide conceptual level design assistance to communities, nonprofit organizations, and government agencies that are unable to afford a private consultant or not ready. So students are hired to work on the projects, and they work on in teams. We do landscape architecture, interior design. Sometimes they're singular projects, just landscape. Sometimes they're multidisciplinary projects. So it's to help communities get their vision and ideas in graphic form so that they can use that to leverage funding for next steps. Types of projects that we've done in the past that are brownfields related, former gas stations, redeveloping old school buildings, redeveloping old depots or the sites around depots, and creating parks, campgrounds, and open space where a building might have stood before. So we also, like Peter said, we have some level of community participation in every project. It might vary from a small stakeholders group to larger community-wide participation. And typical products might include like site master plans, floor plans, perspectives, and a final report summarizing the project.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth. And I want to thank our team, again, our partners, for introducing themselves. That was just a quick overview. Our hope is that come January, we're going to have a specific webinar to hear a little bit more about each of them. And so, we hope you'll tune back in for that. But, we wanted to make sure you can see some of the folks who are available to help you as you get ready for grant season. And now I'm turning it over to Seth, who is going to tell you how in fact we can help with grant season.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone's doing well today. I'm Seth Cardwell. I'm the Community Development Associate on the team. I have been here a little over a year now, probably about a year and a month. I actually feel like I know things this time around because when we jumped into grant season last year, I was new and had no clue what anyone was talking about. My background's in public administration. I graduated with my master's from WVU, and I grew up in the coal fields of Southern West Virginia, but I'm also based in Morgantown now. So I'm going to walk us through grant season, how TAB can help because it's approaching quickly. So as Katie mentioned on the previous slide, we've got some planned webinars upcoming in the fall for the state-specific ones. We'll have members of the state agencies on those webinars. And the goal for those is to be about a 45-minute session of presentations for the state-specific stuff related to grants, and then just like a Q&A for people who have questions about the state-specific material. We can also help at any time with consultations and scheduling one-on-one meetings to get you started, to establish relationships with TAB, and also to learn a little bit more about your community and the project that you need some help with. We've got a link at the end of the webinar on the final slide that provides the consultation setup. We can also provide thorough grant review. If we get it in time, we'll try to get more than one set of eyes on it, but we'll have at least one set of eyes to do the grant review if we are sent one. And we can also help with post-awards support. And as this slide says, we have all of your Brownfield questions answered. And if we do not know the answer to those questions, we will connect you with somebody who does know the answer. Next slide, please. So we're going to go into the EPA grants now, which are known as MARC grants. Those are all the available grants. That stands for Multi-Purpose Assessment, Revolving Loan Fund, and Cleanup. However, this year, multi-purpose is not available, so we have ARC, Assessment, Revolving Loan Fund, and Cleanup. Before we go to the next slide, just a brief mention on the timeline for those. Mid-September is when we expect the guidelines to be announced this year. Mid-November is around the time that those applications will be due. December and January of next year will be threshold eligibility. February and March will move into national review. And then May is usually when we expect those award announcements to be released. So we've got busy season coming up. Next slide. And looking at eligibility for all of those grants, eligible entities are state, local, and tribal governments, general purpose units of local government, regional council or redevelopment agencies, nonprofit organizations, and quasi-governmental agencies. And then just a quick note at the bottom that 501c4 organizations are not eligible for assessment, multi-purpose, or revolving loan funds, but are eligible for cleanup grants. And looking at assessment grants, what can these grants be used for? So looking at inventory, they can be used for inventory, general planning, site assessment, community involvement, and site-specific cleanup planning. Looking at inventory, that's for things like if you hire a contractor or other outside source to conduct that inventory for you and to do that mapping. But inventory support program is also provided through our office at WVU TAB. So that is something that's provided as a free service to communities. Phase 1 and Phase 2 ESAs for sites. Community involvement, that can include advertising, renting space, paying contractors for presentations that they might come make at community meetings, or billable hours that they may have. And then site-specific planning, that'll be planning for the extent of cleanup based on the proposed end use of the property. Next slide, please, Katie. And looking at the types of assessment grants, we have community-wide, coalition, and state and tribal. Community-wide are recommended for those who are beginning to address issues, as well as those who have ongoing efforts in their communities. Those are considered appropriate when the community has no identified specific site, but plans to spend funds on more than one site in that community. Those will be focusing on on sites within a target area in the community. Coalitions are designed for one lead eligible entity to partner with at least 2 other eligible entities. The lead member will submit one grant proposal under the names of the members and perform the assessment grant activities in each coalition member's communities. So you can have multiple entities partner together. One will lead, but the grant will be split among those organizations' communities. And then looking at the state and tribal, those are more widespread. They can be used anywhere in their jurisdiction, and the decision of where those funds are used are usually at the discretion of the state or tribal agency that has that grant. Next slide. And lastly, we're going to look at revolving loan funds. Those are programs that provide loans and subgrants to eligible entities. They help to carry out cleanup activities at brownfield sites contaminated with hazardous substances and/or petroleum. They provide funding to capitalize a revolving loan fund that provides loans and subgrants to carry out cleanup. They are used also to provide no interest or low interest loans for eligible cleanup, subgrants for those cleanups, and other eligible programmatic costs. And those subgrants are typically limited to $500,000 per site. And for the general process, that'll be establishing a loan program, providing loans and subgrants to carry out the activities. And then in your post-closeout period, you're going to work for direct cleanup and assessment activities. These can help to make sites more attractive to developers, especially in reducing risk that is associated with investment by leveraging funding. You also have access to additional supplemental funding if you meet a certain threshold each year. That supplemental funding will be non-competitive if you meet that threshold. For these, though, a strong understanding of real estate finance, loan underwriting, loan servicing, and credit is encouraged, and they are intensive and time-consuming. So that is something to flag with those. And if you apply for an RLF, you're applying to manage the RLF program, not for site-specific funds as you would be with the assessment or the cleanup. Next slide, Katie. Hold on just a second. My computer froze. Okay, for cleanup grants, uses and considerations. Phase 1 and all appropriate inquiry are required within 6 months or less prior to the purchase of a property. Gonna put our little plug in here to never ever purchase a property without first having a phase 1. If you don't conduct that phase 1 and that all appropriate inquiry, you may be responsible for contamination on the site. So please never, never, never buy the property, even if somebody tries to give it to you for $1 without having that done. Cleanup grants can be used for the cleanup and remediation of 1 or more sites. They are typically limited to site-specific planning for the cleanup site. And applicants must have a phase 2 environmental site assessment or an equivalent site investigation report completed prior to submission. And the site must also be owned by the applicant at the time that the application is submitted. And looking at extra steps for cleanup grants that we have. Timing of ownership transfer. We want to be mindful to allow time for the transfer to be finalized before we have that application submitted, because you're required to own the property at the time of the application's submission. We want to be mindful of community notifications. They must be published or posted at least 2 weeks before application submittal. They must provide a notice of a public meeting, date and time for grant application, and they must also provide a location of the draft ABCA available for review. Your ABCA is analysis of brownfield cleanup alternatives, sorry. And those for the community notification, that can be in any outlet. It can be in newspaper, television, social media, flyers posted throughout the community, as long as we have a notification to them that the community intends to submit the draft application to the EPA. Next slide. And here we have a chart with the anticipated fiscal year 2025 funding. We have the grant type, maximum project period, which will be 4 or 5 years, depending on the award. A number of estimated awards, pointing those out because these are competitive grants. We have some columns on here that also tell whether or not they're from regular appropriated funds or whether they are from the bipartisan infrastructure law, and paying some attention to the little asterisks on the side. For community-wide assessments this year, new is for entities that have never received an EPA Brownfields multipurpose assessment, RLF, or cleanup, or that were awarded one that closed in 2016 or earlier. Also for community-wide assessment, existing, that is for entities that have an open grant or for ones that had a grant that closed in 2017 or later. And RLF is for new. Those are entities that do not have or are not part of an open cooperative agreement for an RLF at the time of their application. And last slide before I turn it back over to Katie, how to prepare now. There's a lot of overlap between these two in preparing both the new application as well as conducting revisions to the previous year's application. The main difference is that those with the new application, we're asking and encourage that you reference the fiscal year 2024 guidelines, which we have linked here. These slides will be sent out after the presentation so that you have them as a resource at your disposal. And then new applicants are also encouraged to contact Mid-Atlantic Tab in addition to referencing last year's guidelines. And for revisions, you want to make sure that you have last year's application as well as your EPA debrief comments if you have those. If you did not have a debrief with the EPA, we also ask that you reach out to us at Mid-Atlantic Tab. And then for everything else, for cleanup grants, we want you to contact your state environmental agency for the site characterization letter. We want you to familiarize yourself with previous guideline threshold criteria and forms. Make sure that your SAM.gov and your grants.gov accounts are up to date and ready to go. We want you to reach out to your EPA project officer before solicitations open. And if you have trouble locating that information or finding out who your EPA project officer is, we can help with that. We also want you to get to know your state environmental agency, and same thing with that. If you don't necessarily have the contact on hand or don't know where to find that information, we have the contact for those. And we also encourage you, again, plugging the webinars that we have scheduled this fall to sign up so you can meet the people with those state agencies. And as always, with any questions or reviewing drafts, we encourage you to contact us because we're happy to meet with you anytime. And I'm going to turn it back over to Katie, who has some breaking news.
Isn't he adorable? This shout out goes to Haley, who did an awesome job on our slide deck. And so we love bringing Bucky to life. So thanks, Haley. Anyway, so I hope you found that information helpful. And so want to, again, we talked about, sorry, I'm trying to get my slide to advance. Talked about the upcoming webinars that we have scheduled for October. Those are state specific, and my computer has decided it wants to go on lunch break, it seems. Okay, all right, so here are the links you can register for your state specific webinar in October. We already have these set up, so you are welcome to click on the link. Again, the slide deck will be provided to you following today's webinar. You could also scan this with the QR code, but we have them set up for Pennsylvania, Maryland, West Virginia, Virginia, and Delaware. Really encourage you to attend those. Your state agency representatives are fantastic resources. You're going to hear more from them one-on-one along with the EPA project officers so that you can learn about the changes that have occurred from last grant season to this grant season. So we covered some of the general basics at those webinars. They will all be the same with the exception of, again, who is attending to provide the information and what are the state specific requirements. And so you'll learn about the changes that are new this year, as well as the requirements that each state environmental agency has. Also want to let you know, for those who are in or around West Virginia, our Brownfield conference is coming up in West Virginia, and it's going to be held September 10th through the 12th in Summersville, West Virginia. It's going to be fantastic. You know, in case you're not familiar with Summersville, it is very close to the newest national park, which is the New River Gorge. So it's going to be a great setting, and Becca has been working very hard to make it be a great show. So here are some helpful resources that are available from for each state. The hyperlinks that are listed under each state logo will take you to their Brownfield website, so you can learn a little bit more about them. And so it does give you a contact name and their email address, so you can reach out to them. So we definitely encourage you to do so. If you would like some help with an introduction to them, we're happy to do that. We talk to them on a regular basis. And so we never mind an opportunity to check in with them. So we want to wrap up to remind you what TAB can do for you. So today you have the opportunity to hear a little bit of a sampling about what our various teams can do. And so, you know, some things I just kind of want to highlight and pull out and let you know again that maybe you hadn't thought about is as you're starting to put together your grant application, if it's been a while or you're brand new, you need to have a good, robust data section. So when you talk about what are these health impacts on your communities, Christian and Sam would be great resources for that, because they can help find the resources and pull that data that helps strengthen your application. They can talk about why that is a challenge, and so that way you can understand why you do need to take steps to clean that up, remediate it, and make that better for your community. They can also help you do some health assessments for the community. Those may not be things you typically think about when you're taking on a grant application, but if you just want to learn more about that, you can always reach out to us. And Christian and Sam love talking about all the impacts that public health has on the community, and how you can really learn so much more again, and just help your community benefit from that knowledge. So again, just those are things to think about. The data does need to be, you really need to pay attention to those sections and make sure that's very strong, and we can help you with that. Design assistance, you've now heard from Peter and his team, Jen with the team at Delaware, as well as Elizabeth and Harry, how they can help you when it comes to actually coming up with the vision for your community. And if it's talking about an actual building, maybe you want to see what that could look like. Again, it's always helpful to actually see a graphic and see that illustration of what a site that is, dilapidated and, and in bad shape, what that could look like when you take the steps to actually clean them up. So again, those are some tools that we here at TAB can help you with. And inventory support, Seth touched on that a little bit. We can help your communities. We can help you identify what actually does meet the definition of a brownfield site. George likes to say, if man's been there, it is a brownfield, right, George? I think I got that right. So we can help you actually put together that list. And then once you have a list, you can take it from there and start to take those next steps for assessments, actually clean it up, and go through some planning. Assessment grant has a lot of avenues that you can use for planning to help you actually bring that vision to life. And then resource roadmaps, those are things that our team here at TAB can help you do to help you start to identify where funding sources could come from once you have an idea of what a site could actually be redeveloped as. So again, with grant season, we can help you by reviewing draft applications. If you want to send a couple of sections to us at a time, we can help do that, or send the whole thing in one batch. We can help you do a review. State webinars, we've mentioned that that's coming up. And of course, we're always trying to come up with webinars. If you or your team think that there's a topic that you're hearing a lot about, or you have coffee and chat about brownfields, and something has struck your fancy and you think that would be beneficial, tell us. We would love to chat about that and help educate the communities more. And again, all of our services are free of charge. There's never any cost, and we're always happy to help. And I really also want to encourage you to reach out to your EPA representatives. They're a fantastic bunch of folks. We really enjoy working with them. They're great resources, and definitely would encourage you to meet them, introduce yourselves to them here before they get into the solicitation period. And this is how you can get in touch with us. Again, you'll have the slides, so the hyperlinks will be available, but here's our group email. And so, the emails come in and we can send them out to the team that makes the most sense or would apply to. You can also subscribe to our newsletter if you're not already signed up. I would like to just take this time to see if anybody else on the team has anything they want to add. Is there something you thought we missed that we should let the folks know how we can help? And then after that, we'll see if there are any questions.
If someone's interested in resource road mapping, should they just contact you directly?
Sure. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.